Hello again, Gills fans. Welcome back to the latest episode of Gills in the Blood TV and what is the first match preview show of the Sky Bet League 2 25-26 campaign. This coming Saturday, Gareth Ainsworth will take his Gillingham team to the Wham Stadium to take on Accrington Stanley under the stewardship of John Doolan. Of course, there was going to be no other guest. I'm pleased to say, joined again by, well, I think he qualifies to be a friend of the channel now, is Tony, the Accrington Stanley fan. Tony Robinson is his full name. I'll put his details for X and his brilliant Across the Pitch podcast in the description at the bottom of this video, but I'm pretty sure you're all following both of them accounts by now because I've asked you to do so on plenty of occasions. Tony, welcome back to the new season and welcome back to the channel.
Uh, Nice to talk to you, Matt. I appreciate the invitation, and I'm glad we're still on speaking terms, and that you invited me back after my pushback on your predictions. But that's what football's all about. You've got to have a discussion, and at the end of the day, you get to an understanding. But yeah, it's always a pleasure to be on your show, Matt. You do a great job, and your passion for the game is beyond question. So it's always a pleasure to help you out and talk football. And what better way to start off the season than you guys showing up at the Wham? So I think that's it's a great way to start the season.
Yeah, can't wait. I mean, it's we don't get many local away days as Gills fans, but they couldn't have put us much further up the map than they have for the opening day. So I think it's a 4:45 alarm for myself and Ava. But yeah, can't wait for the proper football to start. Let's have a look at last season quickly, just the comparative finishing position. So Gills ended up in 17th. They won 14, drew 16, and lost 16 of their 46 league games. Scored just 41, but only conceded 46 as they amassed 58 points. Stanley 21st, 12 wins, 14 draws, and 20 defeats. Much better in front of goal, 53 scored, but let too many in at the other end, conceding 69 as you finish with 50 points in 21st. And I think that's probably reflected in the bookmakers' odds for various things this coming season, Tony. I've looked at William Hill, but I do have to say there are other bookmakers are available. For the title, Gills are 14 to 1, Accrington Stanley 66 to 1. For promotion, 3 to 1 and 12 to 1, respectively. And relegation, Gills 22 to 1 and Stanley 4 to 1. So obviously, and we've just had a little laugh before I press record about our little to and fro on X a couple of weeks ago when my predictions first come out. And we've just had a chuckle, haven't we, about you can't make jokes online because people can't appreciate tone as much as they can if you're talking to each other. I predicted you 23rd. I've given you my reasons why. John Doolan, I think, has still got questions over his head. Lack of experience, still a lack of ability in some areas. I don't think the squad's been improved a great deal to one that finished in 21st last season. I think looking at your transfers in, I think there's three that come off the page. Freddie Sass, a left back from Kings Lynn. Isaac Sinclair, right midfielder from Kerrs National. Now, he's the one that I thought actually looked quite exciting, given your record at developing youngsters that come off a non-league conveyor belt. And Ollie Wright, a young goalkeeper on loan from Southampton under 21s. So that was my pitch for 23rd. And then we'll talk about your existing players. Tell me why I'm wrong.
$1 million question. Well, I think I just want to touch on a couple of things you said earlier about the season last year, and
Hmm.
you hit a valid point about the goals against. The season really for Stanley, if you want to sort of look at it in a simplistic manner, is that it was split into two halves, really.
Hmm.
Um, and um, and we got off to a horrific start last season with 3 points in only in the first 8 matches. Now you can't do that and expect to sort of have a great season. You're fighting uphill a battle from there on in. And I think if you look at the losses and the goals conceded, there was quite a lot. 3-1 and going in injured time we drew 3-3. Same with Port Vale. We had Port Vale up 2-0 and we ended up drawing 2-2. the and Port Vale's a good team. So I mean, we've seemed to play well, but we conceded at the wrong times. I think the second half of the season sort of shored things up somewhat, and that's where we went out on a better run in the
Mhm.
second half of the season, as we brought in Ben Ward from Burnley, and Devin Matthews from non-league as well. And that back three seemed to sort of develop into a nice formation, and we improved, and as a result, I think over an 8 game stretch, a 14 game stretch, we had 19 points, which is enough for sort of mid-table to look at it.
Mhm.
Um, so, but anyway, just and to touch on why I think why I disagree with you, and I think obviously nobody wants to see their team in the bottom two from any picks.
Mhm.
And so, but you have some valid points, and when you're looking from the outside in, from the teams looking at Stanley, I'm obviously looking at it, with a sort of rose-colored glasses, and
Mhm.
my glasses is obviously more than half full. I look at John Doolan, and I look at the lack of turnover of players. I'm looking at that as a strength. And I say that in that John Doolan has been with Stanley for 7, 8 years, and is involved in a lot of the training and the technical part of the squad. It's only the last year where his inexperiences in being in the lead person and in front of the camera. But I see a confidence in him now that's this season so far that was might have been not might have been missing, or just he's increased his confidence in front of the camera, and you can just see he seems to be carrying himself a little more confidently. So I'm fully behind John, and I like the guy, and he's a nice person and knows the league. So I'm looking at that as a strength. And the other thing you mentioned, the not bringing too many players. The players, they brought in a few players in the second half of that season, and everybody seems to have contributed. And also with Tyler Walton, who was I expect to have a kick-on season. So when you don't have a big turnover on your team in the bottom half, and if you've got the right people that carry over from the season before, as I said, I'm looking at that as a strength as opposed to weakness, and that's just my take on it. So I'm looking at, when I say I disagree with you, I'm turning what you look at, and I'm turning them into my favor and saying that I think they're going to finish above the bottom two.
No, of course, and that's why we get people like yourself on, because you have more information as a Stanley fan than I do as an opposition fan looking in from the outside. And this is what I've said to you, and I've said to certainly some Notts County fans over the last 24 hours, that um, I can only base my prediction on the information that I have at hand to myself,
Yeah.
and that's what I've gone. And as you're well aware, there's just 24 places to fill, and I've got to put someone 24th, I've got to put someone 23rd, I've got to put someone first, and it's just the way it falls. Um, you mentioned there
Well, I
Ben
think
Woods.
one thing you mentioned too, Matt, if I sorry to interrupt, but
No, of
you
course you
did
can.
mention about the off-field, distractions, and that is a legitimate point.
Hmm.
It doesn't seem to have carried over into the change room, and I mean that's the feedback I'm getting. But I mean that there could be something that creeps in, but closing the academy was a a big a setback in a sense of from the optics, it didn't look good.
Hmm.
We cancelled a match against Clitheroe too that didn't sit well with a few fans. But it was scheduled the day after our match, our last preseason match was scheduled on the Sunday after we played Rotherham. And there was a couple of players that picked up knocks, and I can understand when you have a small squad and you want to protect it for the first match of the season, scheduling a tough a preseason match right after another one is a tough thing to do. So, but anyway, the optics for off the field, and the problem we're having with the Ironburn Council of closing down the match day facilities for events other than on football days has created a lack of income, which for a team like Stanley, you cut off
Mhm.
a source of income, and I can understand where people, when you're on a tight budget and you take some money away, it's not a good optic.
Careful there, you might end up agreeing with me. You mentioned two players that I really liked last season: Ben Woods, who I think made the bench for my team of the year for League Two,
Yeah.
and Tyler Walton, who I got into my pre-season video five to watch for the new season. I'm intrigued to see how they both go again. So in them, they're two of the very best examples of what you do in bringing players from other clubs and polishing them up. You've then got the experience, the vast experience still of Seamus Keneally and Sean Wally. I think it's fair to say that Wally was probably the one that had a bigger impact last season. The concern to them is that you're still continually relying a lot or maybe too much on two 37-year-olds. And I'm sitting here saying this as a big fan of our 41-year-old goalkeeper. So I understand that age can just be a number. Um, but is it fair to say that last season Keneally didn't play as much as was hoped, whereas as Wally had an absolutely outstanding season? So it's difficult to gauge because you've got to look at both sides of the story again, like you have to do with everything. But is it a concern a little bit that you've got two 37-year-olds that are likely to be genuine first teamers, or are they just a
Well,
big, massive help to the younger players?
well, I think there's you can separate the two because Wally's is one that's seen him in preseason, and I'll tell you one thing: he hasn't lost a step since last season. So he's in tremendous shape, and definitely going to be a factor up front. Seamus Keneally was his contract. It wasn't renewed, and but he did sign he got offered another contract, and he did sign to come back. But Seamus is um, he's still not match fit yet because he came in late into training camp.
Mhm.
But I don't see, unfortunately, I think Seamus's role more so this year will be coming on in the 60th, 70th minute. If we more to shore up the defense and sort of be an on field manager. So I
Mhm.
see the contributions from the two of them being an asset to the team, but in different forms. Wally will start and look to score, and where Seamus will come on late and look to tighten up the D.
Fair enough. As with anything, only time will tell. My final concern, Tony, regarding your league position is just looking back at the last five seasons. Is that league position similar to us? So I know how hard it is once you drop from League One to League Two. It's not a case of you just bounce straight back up. I think in the last few years, it's only Port Vale last season that have done it. Um, if you go back to 2021, 11th in League One, 21-22, 12th in League One, 22-23, 23rd in League One, and then your two seasons since then in League Two have garnered 17th and 21st place finishes. So that was another thing that I looked at as a bit of a red flag. Um, you're obviously very confident that you're not going to drop, which would ultimately give you very little wiggle room in terms of staying in the division. So where do you see Accrington finishing come the end of 25-26? Is it a case of staying up is a good result again, or is the aim a little bit higher within the camp?
I think well, obviously survival is always the key and the goal. But I again being closer to the team, being optimistic. I'm looking at somewhere in that, and I'm again being optimistic, but I think 15th to the 17th is not out of reach
Hmm.
if we get off to a decent start. Uh, Mid-table would be sort of ideal and the pot of gold. I don't. I'm obviously realistic in saying that we're not going to be a playoff team
Hmm.
or automatic promotion. We're just not. We just haven't got the depth, and we don't have the scoring. And you need scoring, as you guys can attest to in the
Hmm.
last th 3 or 4 seasons, your goals for is sort of been a challenge. And if you can, any team can improve on that, then that's you can have a chance to go up. So yeah, I'd say our start to the season, I think fans are going to be sort of looking at that to make sure we get off to a better start to the season than we
Hmm.
did last season. Uh, but if we were 18th, 19th, 17th, yeah, I'll take it. But if things fall into place and players kick on and continue on the success that they were having towards the end of last season, I know it's a big if, but you never know. You just never know, and that's the thing with predicting the making predictions for League Two.
Hmm.
There's so many. It's so hard to do. And look at what people had for MK Dons last season, and look where they finished. Yes, I mean, and you weren't alone, Matt. You weren't. There was a lot of people had in the same boat, and they're picked to go. To be going up this season with Chesterfield, and yeah. And I'm a big fan of Chesterfield in the sense that Paul Cook is their manager, and what a character. You've touched
Hmm.
on him, why, and his voice breaks so many times. I've sat close to him at a match, and I don't know, it's like an opera singer going up and down. But his connection to Stanley is well known, and so I wish him well from a Stanley connection.
Absolutely. Um, yeah, and like you say, there's so many variables, and as one of them that does a league prediction, I have to put it out before the season starts. I don't think it's right to be doing it up until the window closes because you've already played a month of the season. Then so Stanley, Gills, every other club could look very different when I put my predictions out at the end of July to when transfer window
Yep.
slams shut on the first day of September. So I
Yep.
fully appreciate that. Um, as I said to everybody on the video itself, it's just an opinion. There's no right or wrong until the end of the season, is there? It's one of them.
Well, it's like a number 10 bustle. Another one will be coming along in 10 minutes, So I
No,
mean,
exactly. Yeah, we've all got them,
yep, yep.
and it's what makes the world go round. How's pre-season gone? I'm not massive one in terms of looking at results in pre-season, and we've had a bit of a mixed bag. We won two, lost three, I think it was. Obviously, it's more about fitness and building up relationships, certainly with new signings that come to the football club. But have you been encouraged from what you've seen, and how do you think we'll line up against you? How do you think you'll line up, sorry, against us come Saturday afternoon, based on what you've seen in the three friendly games?
Well, I think the play that we've seen from them seems to be sort of playing with some confidence, and they're playing some good football. So I think, again, like you say, the results are they're you can take them or leave them, because if
Hmm.
you lose preseason, it's about learning the formation and the tactics. If you win, then it's a confidence booster. So you can make cases for on both points, but I think they finished off with a good. So I think again I touched on before is the consistency of players, and
Hmm.
I think it's showing carrying over that they're just playing some good football. So I'm encouraged with the preseason, and I think if everybody comes in healthy for Saturday, it's going to be a hard team to pick
Hmm.
because there's a 4 or 5 players that could have knocks, but I think we're going to have a decent team to give you guys a good match on Saturday.
Yeah, looking forward to it. Came up for the first time last season. Absolutely loved it. So coming up again. It's always nicer, I think, when the weather's hopefully a bit better than the middle of winter because we've got that open-ended terrace and not a lot of shelter from the elements if it does turn. So yeah, can't
No,
wait.
it's yeah, and the pitches. I mean, they won the ground. They won the
Mm.
pitch of the season in League Two last season, and Ben Kay does an outstanding job looking after that pitch, and it's pristine.
Hmm.
So there'll be no excuse for by the players or the teams against the pitch because it's just like a billiard table. It's absolutely perfect right now. So it should be set up for some good football.
Yeah, I think we noticed that even when we came up was end of March last season or end of February, and it still looked in really, really good nick. Yes, it's a fair play to the ground staff.
Yeah.
Final question, Tony, before I let you go and enjoy the rest of your day. The dreaded score prediction. I know we've got no form or anything else to go on, so we can just pluck two numbers out of the sky and roll with it a little bit.
Well, I'm going for a 2-1 Stanley win.
Okay.
It could be a 1-1 draw, but I'll take a 2-1 Stanley win. I think players that we've talked about, I think we'll see contributions with Ben Wood. He's really top notch from a set piece on corners and from free kicks. So if he's given a chance in front of net, look out. Um, Sean Wally is actually finding the net, and Tyler Walton again is I'm expecting him to sort of be as I said, a kick-on season for him. In fact, there's rumors that Northampton have put in a bid for him, which I think will be knocked back. But we'd hate to lose him at this time of the season because he's going to be a key factor. He's under contract and his value is only going to go up. So another player the players that we signed and we sort of mentioned their names. But we've had some good success in the last season and a half of signing players from the National League North, and
Hmm.
and it looks like this time it's no exception with the left back Freddie Sass, who
Hmm.
we signed. I've got it written down here. We signed him from Cruz and Ashton, and then we brought in Trevor Sinclair. Um, who's the son of no, sorry, Isaac Sinclair. That Trevor would be. Yeah, he's the son
Yeah,
of Trevor Sinclair. Yeah.
I thought it was
Um,
Isaac. I thought Isaac had come from Curzon Ashton. I
yeah, it's
thought
Isaac's. It's Isaac's. Oh, sorry, Isaac come from Cruz and Ashton, and it's Freddie
Freddie
came
came
from
from
Kings
Kings
Lynn.
Lynn. Yeah,
Yeah, sorry, I'm reading my notes wrong.
no, that's
Um,
fine. I
but
didn't I didn't realise he was the son of Trevor Sinclair, so obviously got good pedigree then.
Yeah, yeah, and I think they've accounted themselves well. And Ollie Wright looks like he's another good find. So there's rumors of a striker coming in, and I would expect it's going to be from a championship team, and it's going to be somebody that's from the under 21, under 23 team, but to go up front. Charlie Caton's another one they got from Chester that there's some high hopes on.
Hmm.
Another player that I didn't mention that could start on Saturday is Connor Grant,
Hmm.
who contributed toward the end of the last season, signed another contract, and when healthy is it could be a big factor in the midfield too. So those are my reasons why and players to watch out for. I'm again, it's a good time of the season. We're all tied for first, and we're all tied for 24th. So let the games begin.
So I got two predictions right then, as it stands. Potentially, maybe.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. Anyway, Tony, as always, a pleasure. I've written down just for my score prediction for anyone who's interested. I was along the similar lines of thinking, to be honest. I always think if you get out the first game of the season unscathed and pick up a point, then it gives you something to work with. But it'd be great to win the football match. I know our record at Stanley is pretty decent, so my positive hat says 2-1 to Gillingham. Um, I've written down Joe Bode and Bradley Dack to score our goals. I've been really encouraged by the both of them, like you have by certain players from the Stanley squad. Joe, if social media chat is true, has been the subject of a bid from Luton. So I'm hoping we don't accept that. I know everybody has a price. I get that entirely, but I think if he continues to show the same sort of progression that we've seen since the sort of the back end of last season, then we could be looking at a very, very good player in 6 months to a year. And obviously Bradley Dack, everybody knows about his quality if he
Yeah.
can keep him fit. And I think the benefit for Dack is he's had a pre-season for the first time in about 4 years, and he looks fit and he looks sharp. And I think the both of them could play a huge part in whatever relative success we may have over the next 9 months. But as always, Tony, it's been a real pleasure. So thank you for your time.
Yeah, no problem. Did you, one quick question. You guys signed Sam Volks, did you?
We did. Unfortunately, we've not seen him yet because he broke his arm on the final day of the season for Wickham, so he had to have a metal plate inserted. So he's been on non-contact for 12 weeks, which is I think is basically around now. So I don't think we'll see him for another week or so. But yeah, I think Gareth knows him. But again, it comes back to service. If we don't give him service, he doesn't score. If we give him service, then I think we've got a great player on our hands for the level. And that's why I've been bulgy with my prediction. I think because defensively we've been absolutely fine. If we can just add
Yeah.
10 goals, 12 goals to that goal scored column, I think it catapults us right into the mix. But if we don't do it, then we continue to be a lower mid-table side. That's the nature of the beast if you don't score enough goals.
Well, I'm sure he might have lost a step or two, but I mean he was a big player at Burnley, scored a lot of
Hmm.
goals for them. He scored for with Wickham against Stanley when he played at the Wham. So uh, help you guys out. It's a shame that he's not ready for this match, but at least then he can't score against us.
There is that, yeah. I mean, I'd be very surprised. I think at best it'd be one of those that you maybe stick on the bench if you need him for 10, 15 minutes, but I can't see it because he's not featured in any of the friendlies at all. So, yeah, I think we might have to bide our time with Sam, but sometimes you have to do that. I think we've had to do that with Daki for the last year, and fingers crossed we get some reward on that patience this season.
Yep. Well, all the best for the season, Matt, and hopefully it's a good game on Saturday. I think it will, and hopefully we're both happy with the result.
We'll still be talking anyway, Tony, regardless of where I predict you
Yeah.
in the league. Gills fans and Stanley fans, if you're still watching at this point, then thank you very much. If we can get to 75 likes, I'm going to be ambitious first out of the season. That'd be really, really great. So please continue to hit that like button. While you're there, if you can press subscribe, that'd be brilliant as well. It really helps the channel out, and I do highly appreciate it. Of course, we'll be back Saturday, myself, Ava, Nick, and whoeverybody else is about for a match day live at the Wham Stadium as the new season gets underway. And then there'll be a match day review episode, which will be live on the channel on Sunday evening. But until then, hope you've had a great week. I hope you're excited for the new season like I am. And most importantly, up the Gills.